Shock Treatment the movie is rated PG, but Shock Treatment Minute is rated F for
Fall!
We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the way we'll talk about adult content and use adult language. Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Shock Treatment Minute, the only podcast where we discuss shock treatment in excruciating detail 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Leandra.
And we have a very special guest joining us today. It is Jarf from Don't Feed the Plants. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't understand why I have to be tied to this chair while we record.
Well, it was that or the syringe in the neck, and that's what you chose, so.
Trade-offs. Okay.
You could have chosen both, but this is more fun for me.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, Jarf, I know that we had you on for Rocky Horror Minute, and I'm just so happy that you're back. Like, truly, I know that we were talking about this before, but your episodes are among my favorites that we recorded, so...
Me too, yeah. We're very happy to have you back.
That's so nice. Y'all are making me blush. I had so much fun on Rocky Horror Minute, and, I mean, I might be getting ahead of your questions, but I had never seen Shock Treatment before y'all started this podcast. I had heard of it and always kind of meant to get around to it. But then when I heard the exciting news that you were keeping the party going and covering this, I said, okay, it's time for me to get around to watching it. And so now I saw it for the first time after listening to just the first couple episodes of Shock Treatment Minute. So that's really all the background that I had going into it. And now I've watched it twice through.
Oh, wow.
Once, as you've described in earlier episodes, kind of fumbling around in the darkness and not understanding what was going on, but still enjoying it. And then a second with kind of more context, both from that first viewing and then the things that you've talked about on the podcast. So I'm really now becoming a fan of it, and we can get more into like compare and contrast, but I'm just so happy to have been introduced to it because I feel like it's really enriched my total Rocky Horror experience.
I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm glad that we might have a burgeoning Shock Treatment fan on the line with us. Nurse Ansalong in that short little costume helps, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the gang is all here, so that is a huge part of the fun. I mean, like Riff Raff, Magenta, Columbia, all together. And then I asked for Nurse Ansalong minutes because out of Rocky, I am a huge Columbia fan. And it's just so much fun to see her back in this movie and in this really like breezy, slutty role. She is just living her life. She's got a skirt as short as her voice is high-pitched.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I have obviously so much to say about Nurse Ansalong, but I did write in my notes that because the other uniforms of that type we see, none of them are that short or low cut, so my headcanon is that she altered it at home to make it sluttier.
I think that tracks because I think it's in Look What I Did to My Id, or the whatever is the number where they'll say, hey, let's all dress up like, medical staff. She, during the number, is like, kind of slutty, but not slutty enough, and then rips off, a couple inches of her hemline.
Yeah. And she says, got my hem so high, they'll say I'm being cheeky. Which she literally is.
I did not catch that line. That's so good. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about you were asking me off mic, how do I like this soundtrack compared to Rocky? And there are a lot of funny, clever lyrics in the Shock Treatment soundtrack.
There are, yeah. Look What I Did to My Id especially has some really fun wordplay in it.
The only problem, and I don't know that you could call it a problem, is that the way that Little Nell sings that, it is hard to tell what she's saying because it sounds like Minnie Mouse on helium.
Yeah. my hips are high and sell me a chicken.
Well, actually, that can bring us to this minute because, as you know, watch the movie a couple times, as I said, watch this minute more often. And okay, that sounds like I'm watching it for private purposes, but it was for calm down, everyone. It's preparation for the podcast. But
Sure.
I have
Just for the articles.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the
That's what I
articles,
was
yeah.
about to say.
I have no idea what she says. She says something, and Cosmo cuts her off. I thought she said something about monkeys.
She sure did.
She does.
Okay.
She says, I mean, of course, I'll let Leandra summarize, but she says something like, I've got all the other monkeys. And I thought that was interesting because I checked the shooting script. It's not in there. But then I found out that it was potentially a reference to something that was in earlier script drafts. Because there were monkeys in earlier script drafts that were being, like, lab monkeys that were being, like, mistreated. That was more in, like, the Brad and Janet show versions. At least that's what Bill Brennan said on the commentary.
Aww.
But
That makes sense.
but
Like, you could
it is not in the
imagine
shooting
them
script.
coming up with that idea, but then when they're actually making the movie and saying, you know, we have to make this for only $300. Do you know what it's going to cost to actually bring in monkeys and animal handlers and a day of shooting where monkeys
absolutely.
are wrecking havoc? So, yeah.
Considering the strike, there's no way they could have had real monkeys. But they went in like a
monkeys will not cross a picket line.
No monkey scabs.
But yeah, they were kind of taking the script in a more gruesome, like, dark humor direction, it sounds like, in the Brad and Janet show. I already talked about how initially Bitchin' in the Kitchen had Cosmo opening doors and showing, like, fucked up, violent versions of the products, like razors cutting up legs and things like that, which is obviously kind of a different tone than where they landed with Shock Treatment, but...
That also sounds like a screenplay that I would love to read.
Oh, for sure.
know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't there copies of Brad and Janet show floating around, Leandra?
Yes, there
I should
are.
read it.
Yeah.
I should have already read it.
Reading is a choice that you can make, and I guess that for most people that's a bad choice, but for us in particular, perhaps it isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can read it again. No, I will. It'll be fine. But that has nothing to do with Shock Treatment. Particularly...
Nothing? Not a thing to do
Well, not anything to do with Minute 19.
Okay. Well, what does happen in Minute 19?
I'm so glad you asked.
Halting.
Right.
Yes.
I was like, is someone holding Kelly at gunpoint?
They're not holding her at gunpoint.
Yeah.
We continue on with Cosmo McKinley introducing himself. He says, McKinley, and this is my sister and colleague. He says, turning to a very hello nurse, Patricia Quinn, Nation McKinley. Nation indicates her name on the nameplate in front of her. They're both smiling very calmly. And Nation says, we understand you've been going through a rather trying time. Janet answers, well, yes, we have, but I... And then cutting her off, Brad stands up and says, now listen. And then his tone immediately turns softer and almost pleading. There's nothing really wrong with me. He turns to reference Janet during his next line, and while he does, Ricky stabs him in the neck with a syringe full of a mysterious clear liquid, but Janet doesn't notice. Brad's line through this is, Janet and I haven't been getting along too well lately, and I've had a little trouble, and then he starts trying to vocalize, but it appears that he cannot. He kind of sub-vocalizes the word finding, and then with just a little bit of a push from Ricky, Brad collapses on the desk, passed out. Janet exclaims, oh, Brad! And Cosmo and Nation stand to hover above Brad, with Cosmo taking out a pen flashlight to check Brad's eyes. He says, ooh, does he do this often? Janet responds, no, he's never done this before, while stroking Brad's hair. Cosmo says, good. Then there's still hope. and then he puts his hand on top of Janet's comfortingly. He continues, "Lots and lots of hope," and then gestures for Ricky, who springs into action, getting Brad dumped into the wheelchair. Nation says, "If anyone can help Brad, we can." We hear the door open, and Janet says dubiously, "Well, he does need help." Nurse Anslong, played by the effervescent Little Nell, comes in, wearing her hair in a high ponytail with natural-looking makeup, at least compared to Rocky. She's wearing a white maid's cap and a spearmint green nurse's dress, unbuttoned to show what seems like the top of a lace bustier or corset sort of number. And I'm saying this because I feel like I can see the outline of boning when she turns around. And we will quickly discover that this dress is also about the length of a shirt. And Cosmo says, "Ah, Nurse Ansalong, you've arrived." And Ansalong says, "Oh, that was real short notice because the other monkeys." And Nation immediately cuts Ansalong off and says, "Attend to Mr. Majors, nurse." Ansalong moves to in front of Brad, first getting her ass precariously close to Janet's face and revealing her black underwear. Cosmo says, "There are just one or two formalities that have to be dealt with, Mrs. Majors. A contract to be..." He pauses to smack Anslong on the rear to get her to stop. "Signed." And Anslong's butt faces the audience one final time, and Anslong begins to wheel Brad away. Janet stands up to follow and says, "Could I do that later?" And Nation says, "Of course you can, Mrs. Majors." Cosmo gives Nation a dirty look and stands up to follow Janet out the door. We see Brad getting pushed away from that room by Nurse Ansalong, with Janet trailing, and that's the end of the minute.
What a minute.
So much.
And by the way, you did not imagine that boning. The Patricia Quinn and Little Nell commentary confirms that they are wearing, according to them, authentic 50s corsets under the medical uniforms the whole time. The same ones we see in Lullaby, so I guess they just would put the uniforms on over their Lullaby outfits.
That's cool.
It's almost like they're doing a shadow cast and they have to...
I know. Except no one would design Janet's character with shadow casts in mind because her costume changes are constant and quick.
When I directed Shock Treatment many, many years ago, I had one person play Janet, and within a month after playing Janet, she was so burnt out that she quit cast altogether, and I felt so bad. But she was good. She was just very stressed.
Are you talking about directing a shadow cast, or
Yeah.
are you doing like a stage play?
There is a stage play of it now, but it was the shadow cast.
From what I've heard, it did very well in the West End.
I think that it definitely now has the sort of following that it would need to at least have a decent audience, at least in the novelty of it being the sequel to Rocky.
Right. 100%. But yeah, on the topic of those uniforms, apparently Patricia Quinn asked Sue Blaine to design them to look like her favorite green coat that she was wearing at the time. She said that in a lot of interviews over the years. As far as I know, it hasn't been confirmed by Sue Blaine, so I don't know.
We'll have to ask her.
But I know, gosh, I wish, Sue Blaine, if you're listening, please come on our show.
Mr. Thompson, when you listen to this, if you happen to talk with Sue, since I know that you're friends, just maybe float the idea that we're kind of fun to talk to.
And that we will lavish praise and adoration upon her, because we really are. We're huge Sue Blaine fans. But so anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I agree, and I think that it's kind of cool that all of the nurses and the orderlies seem to all have the same color scheme, but it's all like different textures, different fabrics, which I think is nice. It's visually exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which fits in with the production design overall. They're like very thoughtful about, oh, this group of people, they're all going to have the same aesthetic, and it kind of like visually guides you through.
Absolutely. But yeah, the monkeys line is interesting. I don't know if it was an ad lib maybe, or
I really don't know. It seems like the sort of thing that, having heard Little Nell in interviews, she's incredibly quick on her feet. It could be that she was like, I'm going to wing something and you're going to have to just cut me off. And I love that.
I could imagine that every time that they shot this, she just started like saying something, knowing full well that it was not even going to be that easy to understand what she was saying. So
Yeah, and it's hard to sound natural when you know you're going to be cut off. There's often when I'm watching one of the mid shows that my wife and I enjoy watching, it's very obvious when someone gives the line like, I just don't know if we should, trailing off. And then someone is like, no, but I'm saying this. And it's like, okay.
As veterans of community theater, Leandra and I are very familiar with the pointed trail off.
And trying so hard, at least at the community theater level, to like rehearse that and go, if you are somebody who has a line that gets cut off, know what you're going to say at the end of that line. If they're not cutting you off, don't just stop talking. Please. Please don't do this.
Maybe you should make the cast of your community plays be on podcasts, because that's when you really learn to just keep on talking and not stopping. And if you want to say what you want to say, you have to just barge right in there. It's a skill.
If I was still doing community theater, I would absolutely consider literally anything to get some measure of active listening to go on. Because that's another kind of problem. People go, okay, I know my line. I know that as soon as people stop speaking, I say my line. And that's just how that interaction tends to go.
Yeah, and they're just dissociating in between lines.
I don't know anybody like that.
Okay. Leandra, you're not so bad. Come on.
So, talking more about Anselong, this voice that Little Nell is using, I've started rewatching Grey Gardens today, and there's something about her voice that sounds very like Little Edie, and I don't know what accent she was going for. It's certainly not Texan. It's not New York. Like, what is this?
I think it's like Betty Boop.
Yeah, I got Betty Boop too.
Okay. I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
But like, why?
Well, because that was like a sexy iconic thing, and because she can do a squeaky voice better than most, and she was kind of iconic for it in Rocky. So I get the vision there. One thing that I thought was interesting is that she was, and I would even go so far as to say is, kind of pissed off about how small this role is. She talked about it in the commentary and how upset she was when she first got the script and saw that she has very few lines. In her words, she said, really, I just walk up and down the aisle in this show. And she already felt like she got not enough to do in Rocky, apparently, according to her. So when this role is even smaller than that, of course. And it's interesting, too, because we talked about this long ago on Rocky Horror Minute, but initially she was cast as one character that was Columbia and Magenta's character in the show, and then they split it, and that's when they cast Patricia Quinn. But yeah, I can understand why she feels like the role was kind of a much smaller part than what she already had and everything. And there was sort of a little bit of back and forth between her and Patricia Quinn about this, because Patricia said she never got a script, but they asked her to go to Richard O'Brien and Richard Hartley and sing Lullaby to piano accompaniment as sort of an audition type of thing. And she said she was kind of offended by that. But I actually understand that because she didn't really sing in Rocky.
But she did for the Rocky Horror Show.
I guess that's true. But they may have just been wanting to see, because I think they were definitely bringing her on in some capacity, but they were probably just trying to see if they wanted to give her a verse in that song, because I think that's the only time where we hear her sing solo, right?
I think that's right.
Or wait, no, they sing in Look What I Did to My Head. But anyway, but it's an example. So that's what I thought they were probably doing, but either way, she definitely got a much larger part than Little Nell, and I can understand the hurt feelings there. On the other hand, Patricia Quinn also said that they told her she needed to lose weight for this movie. And
rude.
Yeah, I know. Well, that Little Nell said
rude, not valid.
How very dare they? And I was like, yeah, seriously. She was already quite small in Rocky, but she is teeny here. She said that she went to 68 Harley Street to Dr. Diet, which that was a very popular choice for like rich and famous people at the time. And she, in her words, she said, I was up cleaning the windows at 4 a.m. because we were on Dr. Diet's little pills.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That segues into a look that Cosmo Nation specifically have. So Brad starts going on his little I'm actually fine. There's really nothing wrong with me monologue, and they both kind of have the smile of, wow, you're gonna sleep so good tonight.
Yeah. I wrote that I was pretty impressed with that fall stunt, because he doesn't just fall, he has to fall and turn 180 degrees while he does it.
Yeah, and I have seen this movie a lot. I played Anselong, so I've watched this scene a good deal. I didn't know that Ricky pushed Brad to get him to fall, I guess, in the right orientation. Oh, yeah, that completely missed my notice the first million times that I watched this.
Yeah, Ricky is honestly a pretty devious little henchman.
I mean, who can give someone a shot without them noticing, or their wife who's sitting right there noticing?
I know. I mean, he not only doesn't feel the shot, but he doesn't feel, I mean, Ricky puts a hand on his shoulder before even giving him the shot, but I guess Brad's just in his own little world or something.
You know what my awful thought was during that?
What?
The fact that if you were Brad and somebody got within like 3 inches of you with a needle, like your spidey sense would go off and you would just instinctively know and just start screaming.
That's
because funny. in my brain it was, oh, what are you doing? No.
Yeah.
Because Kelly loves needles, actually.
I do, yeah. No, I am very stressed out by needles, but more importantly, I mean, just in general, being startled causes me to screech.
Oh, same. I'm so skittish. It's not even funny. Really?
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's actually kind of, my poor boyfriend will like come into the room and he'll do his best to like herald his coming, but half the time, like in the morning or something especially, he'll take me by surprise, and I literally scream like a blood curdling, getting murdered scream. But Madman Mike pointed out that the desk looks like a huge Lego, and I can't unsee it now. The top of the desk is a Lego.
Yeah, it's like this weird, like, that, like, composite wall stuff that you can put lots of different hooks on.
Yes.
If you're, like, setting up a shed where you can hang all kinds of tools.
100%. Yeah, he also pointed out that the desk accessories on each side are identical, except there's a bottle of aspirin next to Nation. But then I wrote, was it aspirin? Or was that Dr. Diet's mysterious pill?
She's like, if you want me that skinny, I'm gonna need my pills on set,
I'm gonna
so I
need
can pop them between takes.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the setup of this room is also bizarre in terms of how they have the file cabinets laid out. Mm-hmm. A desk in the center, and then file cabinets all around them in a circle.
Yeah, it's not the best use of space, that's for sure. I like, what are you supposed to do behind the cabinets? I would be so irritated if I had to clean that room.
Yeah. Whoever did the interior design for this hospital seemed to prioritize creepy symmetry over functionality.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten to Brad's cell yet, but
Yeah.
so your cell is you sit in a wheelchair, and then there are bars all around you, and it's like a 4-foot diameter, and that's it.
Yeah.
Hope you don't have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I guess they must have some type of situation in there.
Yeah, I think he's just wearing, like, Depends or something.
That's fair.
You'd have to be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't really use a bedpan, and I didn't see a catheter, so.
It's the same setup they use for the monkeys, so, they
Right,
just
okay.
Yeah.
put Brad in there.
It's not unlike some monkey cages I've seen, I suppose. It is sort of like a zoo exhibit, especially, and they sort of treat it like one eventually.
Right.
So in Baltimore, there's the Maryland Zoo, and in order to get to the zoo itself, you have to walk past all of these like Victorian era old like cages that used to be the zoo exhibits. And it's very, very sad, but also kind of interesting, and it does very much look like this.
Oh, yeah.
They're square in Baltimore, but I can only imagine that they're circular in many other places.
Yeah, a lot of zoos actually have that problem because they're like historic now, and so, but they also take up valuable space in the zoo. A couple of zoos have actually reused them as like basically cages for people that you can go into and then like kind of be inside the enclosure with the big cats or whatever.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I thought so. Or sometimes they just use them as enclosures for much, much smaller species that are actually appropriate for that size. But yeah, it's a thing that many zoos have to contend with. But they could just keep their assholes in there.
At the Maryland Zoo, one of the cages has a sign and it says, "We know that there's a bird in there. The door is open. We don't want the bird there either. That's just where it wants to be."
Yeah.
I do love that they clearly got so many questions from people going, "Is this an exhibit?" Like, no, that's Earl.
Yeah, they have something similar at the Philly Zoo because of how many various types of wild waterfowl are attracted to some of the water.
So people are constantly going up to the zookeepers and asking, "Does this bird belong to you?"
Oh my god, it's so true. Maybe that's what they meant.
Yeah.
So, well, one of the things that jumped out at me and startled me in your notes was Cosmo and Nation exchanging a dirty look. Mm-hmm. And it's when he's saying, "Oh, you got to sign this," and she's like, "Oh no, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it." So my question is, and then this maybe opens up to like a larger question of like the satire they're going for in the movie and whether it lands. Why aren't they on the same page?
Why isn't anyone on the same page ever?
Yeah. It's a good question though, and I'll discuss it more next minute, but I'm really confused about Nurse Anselong's like motivations. But yeah, it seems like Nation is kind of more aggressive towards Cosmo most of the time, but in this time he's sort of scolding her. I don't know. It's interesting. I think that maybe they just weren't prepared for Janet to not sign right away.
I know that if somebody says, "Can I do this later?" my knee jerk reaction would always be, "Yeah, absolutely. No pressure, no worries," because I am a no worries sort of person when in fact I'm actually yes worries.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, in general, this is all sort of like a timeshare pitch. and
Oh God, it really is.
and if so, Nation has committed a cardinal sin by allowing Janet to walk away. Like, the whole thing with that is a hard sell. So I guess maybe that's why he was irritated. And as we'll see in next minute, they don't take it sitting down, so to speak, but but Janet does not sign right away. We actually, thanks to the generosity of Brian Thompson, have a copy of this contract.
No way.
We do.
That's so cool.
Or, well, a scan of it, I should say. But it is so awesome. We can read it in its entirety. I'm not going to read it all out loud, but we will post it to our social media. But I wanted to highlight a couple of phrases from it because it's awesome. It's very funny. It's basically... it says, Janet Majors does hereby and hereafter consign and commit herself to the care of and to roles in the Denton television series Dentonvale. It's a whole long thing about how she's basically giving away her whole life. At one point, it's Janet Majors will wear what is determined to be the look by DTV management and will do all and everything required for her to do so by that management. And then...
let me cut in there because... I thought the contract was to commit Brad. I didn't realize the contract was her signing up to be the star of DTV.
I think that's where it landed, but the one I'm looking at, I compared it against the movie, and I think it might be the same document that they just knew people wouldn't be able to read. I think maybe the original goal was to have it be more of a contract signing for Janet to be a star, because it does say that at several points in here. Of course, the eventual goal of the Farley Corporation was always for Janet to be made into this, into this starlet, and then for Farley to steal her away. But I agree that where the movie landed, the contract is signing over Brad and everything he owns. But it does say in this contract, Janet Majors will renounce all ties and commitments to her life before this day, especially husbands, dogs, household devices, and spouses, if any.
Husbands and spouses.
Yeah, and dogs. I mean, how redundant can you get? But yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was fun. It's very... Have you seen Phantom of the Paradise, Jarf?
No, I haven't. I've heard you mention it.
Oh, you'll love it. It's fantastic.
It's free on YouTube right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a fantastic movie, and it may even get minute by minuted in the near future.
Wow.
By two beautiful but shy and humble gals.
But mostly just shy.
Yeah. Large-breasted. Beautiful.
I was wondering when that was going to be mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you.
Either large-breasted or fat-assed.
Yeah, you
not
can't
both.
Have both. We're like we can combine to make like a Voltron bimbo, but yeah, it is so reminiscent of what happens to Jessica Harper's character in Phantom of the Paradise. I can't get it out of my head. Ink isn't worth anything to me, Janet.
I'm under contract too.
I can't get the Voltron formation scene out of my head. with the triumphant music and I'll form the tits.
It's true. Unfortunately, we need a third person to be the brain.
Not it.
And God knows it's not Oscar. Yeah.
Do we?
I guess not if it's a bimbo. Yeah. But those are all my notes.
So I mentioned the satire in Does It Land? So that's kind of like my big question. I don't know if it's too much to get into here, if you want to get into it next minute, if we're doing another minute. But basically, I really enjoy this movie. Even understanding where they're going with like the surface level plot, I'm still, this like second and subsequent viewings, kind of confused about like what they're going for with the satire. Generally, I'm on board with it. Like, obviously, if you're going to point out the fascist leanings possible in America, and when the patriarchy poisons people's brains, like I'm, and I think this is where my frustration comes in. I'm on the same page and like sympathetic to what they're trying to do with the critique, but I just don't, I think because the world does not make sense within the movie, some of the satire falls apart. And they're just, it feels like they're just throwing everything bad about America against the wall to see what sticks. So I feel like it could be kind of edited down to, 1 to 3 sharp critiques and then kind of structure around that.
Yeah, or at least I can definitely understand what you're saying about it not necessarily being cohesive. I appreciate that they link consumerism and also the field of psychiatry with fascism, because they certainly have gone hand in hand for many years. But I hear what you're saying. That's similar. Roger Ebert, when this movie came out, had a very similar criticism of it. He hated it, and he said that he was sick of British people criticizing America for these things, which I don't know. I don't necessarily think Richard O'Brien was coming from a place of criticizing America for these qualities and thinking Britain was pure, but I definitely, I think that there was room to criticize Western culture in general for these types of leanings. This was right at the beginning of the Reagan era, and they just had no idea how far we would slide.
Right.
I don't think any of us did, but wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of pulls in so many different directions, because there's the phony / everyone's trapped in the TV set part, and then there's also the asylum part, but in collaboration. And I liked your point about the link between consumerism and the asylum and fascism, but maybe if you shed some of those other things, that would come across like a little bit sharper.
And I don't mind the surrealism, but it's not very consistent, like you said. That makes it sometimes very hard to follow. It's hard because a lot of the things that I would say should have been first to be cut are also some of the most iconic and hilarious parts of the movie, just because, for example, the poetry reading in the stairwell, it doesn't necessarily
so weird.
Doesn't necessarily
so good.
fit anything, but God, I can't imagine not having that scene in my
really
life.
Good.
So I don't know. It's hard to say, but in terms of making it a stronger movie, I think that a lot of those kind of loose ends could have been cut off. But
yeah, I think you just have to embrace it and appreciate the big swing that they were trying to take. And then there's so many fun elements to enjoy, like the musical numbers and like we talked about the clever lyrics and so yeah. If I wouldn't have any punch-up suggestions if I was like Ebert and I didn't like it at all. I hated it. I would just say,
yeah,
I'm never going to think about this again. But I've actually thought about it a ton, because it's like there's so many intriguing things here, but it's also very confusing.
100%, yeah. And it's tough because I've lost it. Go
So
on. You have to save
Yeah.
yourself.
Bail us out,
God.
Leandra.
I feel like even, and this is kind of to Kelly's point, even if somebody were to fix all the problems with it and turn it into what really would amount to like a really, really well thought out episode of Black Mirror, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah. Mm.
Like all of the things that are bad about it, like on paper, are also the things that I find the most charming in actuality.
Yeah, and I remember what I was going to say. Uh, Also, you have to think of this movie from a 1981 perspective, because I know a lot of us who were not around back then. It some of the points that it's making and some of the directions that it goes don't feel original at all. But if you consider that this movie came out in 1981, it's actually really kind of pretty bold and also original in ways that are not obvious to a modern audience, because we at this point have seen endless satire of reality TV, right? But at the time, reality TV didn't even really exist.
Yeah, it's prescient that way.
Yeah.
So this was my humble suggestion.
Okay.
If you wanted to strengthen the points that it's making about psychotherapy, so what if instead of Brad being involuntarily committed, it was Janet involuntarily committed? And then I think that it opens up some feminist territory where, them not listening to her and gaslighting her and telling her that she's crazy. And then, you could have Brad being the one who's being seduced by the DTV culture, and that's a way to sideline him. And then Farley is kind of with Janet under his thumb because she is committed. That's how he gets close to her. So I think maybe this is like the Black Mirror version that you would hate, Leandra, but I think kind of to make some of the ideas rise to the surface, I'd like to imagine that version.
I think that my response to that, like if I saw that, would be, it's better, I guess. Thanks for fixing it.
I mean, I will say I do think that there are feminist points being made with Janet's character. It's just maybe a little more subtle, but the way that she's being used and objectified for the entire movie, I think they're trying to say something with that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just really undercut because she's such an asshole in this.
She really is.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I guess that's another role reversal moment. Although, to be honest, Janet was the one in Rocky also who drank the Kool-Aid first and generally became more of a dick and a slut.
Yeah, definitely agreed with that. But I don't have any other notes. We can either go on to callbacks and then my super secret special treat, or we could do the super secret special treat now and then callbacks.
Well, traditionally we do callbacks before any super secret special treats.
Okay.
Yeah, you save the supers. A super special secret treat.
Super secret special treat.
Yeah.
Super secret special treat. Yes,
Yeah.
you save those till last.
Super secret special treat, special treat, special treat, super secret special treat, and then you go to jail. All right.
Yeah. So, Kelly, do you have any callbacks?
No, although I think someone should come up with a Phantom of the Paradise one when she gets the contract.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a good handful. So, I said in our previous minute that I was going to tease one that was going to have some good payoff for this minute, and it's you kind of shout whoop as Cosmo swipes his name sign with his finger, and then you repeat that same whoop when Nation does the same thing. And then when Cosmo says, and this is my sister, you shout lover, and then he says, and colleague, and you say same thing. And then right after Nation says, we understand you've been going through a rather trying time, you say, have you tried oral sex? And Janet says, well, yes, we have. And then you yell, stand up and take it like an asshole. And then Brad stands up. And when Ricky injects Brad in the neck, you shout, another asshole getting poked. When Brad says, Janet and I haven't been getting along too well and I've had a little trouble, you shout, staying up, try Viagra. And then when Brad falls on the desktop, you shout, timber. And then, I love this one so much. You know that I love stupid ones. Cosmo says, oh, does he do this often? And Janet says, no, he's never done this before. You go, no, he's never fallen on desks before. Like,
dumb.
So stupid.
Yeah.
And then Cosmo says, good, then there's still hope. Lots and lots of hope. You say, Bob Hope, the Hope Diamond, hopefully more. When Nurse Anslong enters the room, you go, hello, nurse. Or, Columbia, what happened to your hair?
Yeah. At least she grew out her eyebrows.
Yeah. And then...
So much better with eyebrows, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's...
unrecognizable.
She's no longer, like, a freakish fuck clown. She's like a not freakish...
fuck clown.
Fuck nurse. As soon as Anslong starts speaking, you can shout Fran Drescher or just shout shut up. And then when Anslong bends over, you shout, you bend over, I'll drive. And then Cosmo says a contract to be signed, and you shout a rear entry form. When Anslong exits, you go, goodbye, nurse. But those are all my callbacks for this minute, which leads me to Family Feud.
What?
Oh my God.
Jarf, Kelly, you are opposing families in this wonderful 1981 episode of Family Feud. I did, in fact, watch a bunch of Family Feud from 1981 and pull some fun questions from them. And I think that it's going to be a great time. So I guess for the purposes of this, I'm going to give the question or the prompt, and then whoever knows first, just blurt out, like, your scream for the bird belonging to you, and then I will call on you.
Okay.
So, out of 100 people in 1981, name something that makes a person giddy.
Laughing gas.
Laughing gas is not one of the options. Jarf, would you like to play or pass?
Okay, I'll play.
Okay.
So how many answers are there, or do I just need to get one?
There are 5.
There are 5. And I need to get all 5?
You at least need to keep going. You'll have 3 strikes. And if you get through all those 3 strikes and there's still some to guess, Kelly will get a chance to steal.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yes.
Birthday.
Birthday is not one of the things that makes a person giddy in 1981.
You know, you could just say, "Bant."
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Helium.
Judges, you know what? We're going to give it to you. alcohol or other substances is 66.
How is that not laughing gas?
I guess that's fair. It was just alcohol.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair then.
Yeah.
I think Leandra just likes me more than they like you,
No,
Kelly.
it's that I'm struggling, and I'm just like, no, I don't want you guys to completely fail this. I tried so hard and got so far, and in the end, you don't know anything about 1981 giddiness.
All right, well, give it to him,
we might tank it, but is that on us or is that on you for doing a game show of Bimbo versus Bimbo?
Oh God, that's so true.
Okay, well, I know one was alcohol, and I have one strike.
Yes.
So at least now I have kind of an idea of what they were thinking of with getting us. Bum, bum, bum. I don't know. Engagement, like a proposal.
I will give it to you with love.
Okay, yeah.
Love is your second choice, and that is with 9. So it goes from alcohol 66 to love 9. You've got 3 more.
69. Nice.
Yeah, makes me giddy.
No. Verbally slap your hands.
Okay. Alcohol, love, sports. 2 strikes. Okay. Money.
All right, Kelly, you can win this. You can steal.
I think on Family Feud they often call it making whoopee.
No, that is not it. So, Jarf, you win this one with alcohol and love, but the other answers...
That's how I've won a lot of things.
Yeah.
The other answers for things that make a person giddy in 1981 are heights.
Oh.
Jokes.
Kelly, get with the program. When they reveal, you have to go, oh.
Of the word giddy to mine. That's all
fair.
I can say.
Heights was 5 people. Then jokes.
Oh.
And then no sleep. 2.
Oh.
That one's real.
Yeah. So that was our Family Feud. It was amazing. But
It was.
Jarf, I have one final question for you. And that question is, does this bird belong to you?
Eek!
That was so good. I really can't wait until that specific minute so we can reshare that story. But I know that we do it every minute. I'm cutting this. This is fine.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you're going to use my content without my permission later in the podcast?
No.
Wow.
Leandra's talking about the time that there was outside of our Rocky Theater a gigantic dead hawk that I think probably ran into the side of a building.
Oh my God.
And I know, and Leandra had seen it before the show, but I saw it when we came out. It was in front of the bar across the street, and it was huge. I still have a picture of it somewhere. And I was just staring at it, and I saw Leandra across the street, and I went to gesture at it, but before I could, Leandra just screamed, "Does this bird belong to you?" It destroyed me. That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the first night that you realized that you loved me.
Oh no, long before that, darling.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And now I know. See, I always thought Kelly was screaming as a bit, but it's actual trauma that's being resurfaced from seeing a real life dead bird.
Yeah.
That makes it funnier to me.
And that explains why my yell is never scary. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, birds.
Right.
Because you also saw the bird, but I guess just it didn't affect you on the same level.
I think I was already on medication for that. Yeah.
Listen, a dead hawk hits different for an Animorphs fan. So.
Jarf, are you an Animorphs fan?
Kelly said Animorphs. Listeners, drink.
Me and Oscar were talking about it quite a bit in a recent minute. I think Leandra might have cut it.
I think that it is in the minute that I have to edit tonight.
Okay. I can't
Okay,
remember.
I was going to say release the Animorph cut.
Well, now I have to keep it in.
I'm just priming them for Animorphs minute.
And a minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
I'll workshop it. Got my hips behind and sell me a chicken.